Hey guys, Coach Dan here. What a week we've been having. Workout after workout. Awesome. We've been smashing all this week, so I'm really happy with how this week's gone. If I had to choose between the workouts I've been putting in this week and sex, I'd probably choose these workouts. No, I'm just kidding. And don't tell my wife. So, no, really good. I think something to keep in mind is, for me, just the kind of mindset to get in before each set is a little bit of anger and aggression really seems to do the trick. It's like getting myself a little bit fired up seems to work really well and seems to help me perform really well. So again, from the other day, having a training partner who I don't always have, and she does know how to get me a little bit fired up, and she does know how to get me, ready for a set and stuff like that. And that's the feeling that I get, and kind of like showing her or proving to her that I can kind of like smash it, or, maybe it's a competitive thing that I'm better than you or whatever it might be. But yeah, trying to tap into that for to a certain extent for each set. Now, I think there could be some potential downsides to doing this as well, is that it's pretty fatiguing. So if you've ever gotten really angry or fired up for something and then you come down off of that, it's really tiring. So if I start off with the stiff-legged deadlifts today and I absolutely rage and go full Hulk or whatever, coming off the back of that, and everything else might be a little bit shit because I've just got myself so fired up. So a certain amount of it, probably a good thing, but again, you just probably have to find that right amount. If you start headbutting a wall or headbutting the bar and then trying to lift, and then you find that your leg press performance or your follow-up exercise performance just goes down through the toilet, maybe that's a bit far, but just that enough use of aggression and anger to kind of perform really well. And obviously execution is first. So we have the execution, we have the technique, we dial that in, and then we add the effort, intensity, aggression, anger on top of that. Seems to work a treat. So I think I always knew that about myself deep down, is that anger does kind of help me perform well, but there has also been a time where that too far just leads to excessive fatigue and makes everything else seem really shit. So but anyway, great week. Let's smash it out. Let's keep going. Stay on track. Let's finish off strong. We start off with stiff-legged deadlifts today, and we're going well on those as well. So we got a big lift on that to start off with, and then, we'll get into the rest of the workout. See you at the stiffies. Time for stiff-legged deadlifts. So I heard a story talking about aggression while lifting, that Eddie Hall, when he went to deadlift 500 kgs, actually imagined him having to lift the car off of his kids. That's pretty hectic. Now, that kind of level of aggression and anger and, in whatever you want to call that, intensity, maybe not necessarily on a day-to-day basis or a week-to-week basis. He was going for something that was pretty exceptional and kind of a one-off thing. He probably had to recover from that for a couple of weeks, and we really don't want to recover for a couple of weeks. We want to be able to come back and train regularly. So maybe that's a bit far, but a little bit of aggression today, a little bit of anger potentially to kind of perform well. All right, so we go to stiff-legged deadlift first up. Now, some finer points about stiff-legged deadlift. I actually wear no shoes, so I'll wear socks, and that's just to feel the ground and not have any cushioning. Now, you might have a flat shoe, like a Chuck or a Van or something like that, just flat. We just probably don't want your standard kind of running shoe that give us a little bit of, they got cushion and potentially a little bit of instability or extra arch support, so move your foot around that. We want to kind of feel the ground and have that stability. I'll go feet directly down from my hips, so going straight down from my hips. I've got straps as well to prevent grip being a limiting factor. Now where I grab the bar is directly outside of my legs. So if I go too wide, it will increase the range of motion that I have to go through. If I go too narrow, it will get in the way of my legs and push it away from my body, and I want it to be nice and close. So when I'm ready to go, I'll erect my spine and get that nice and tight. Take a deep breath. And then lift. So for me, hips high, because this is a stiff-legged deadlift, we want it to be hamstring and posterior chain dominant. So if I bend my legs too much further, I'll then get a little bit of drive out of my legs, and that's not what I'm doing it for. If I wanted to lift my maximal weight, I would use a little bit of leg drive. But for me, it's about targeting the hamstring. So hips high, hamstrings and glutes, back nice and tight and erect. And that's that. All right, we go to set one. Bit of anger, bit of aggression. Let's rock it out. Up rear foot elevated split squat. So as we have come away from a stiff-legged deadlift, which I use techniques such that we kind of lean it as much towards the hamstrings as possible. However, the glutes are definitely going to contribute there. So it's kind of hamstrings and glutes. I call it, you know, essentially it's a set for the hamstrings and half a set for the glutes if I'm counting the volume. You can't exactly, you know, say that's true or not. I haven't real no evidence. It's just that I'm targeting the hamstrings, so I want to feel the most in my hamstrings. Now, with all that said, now when I lean into a rear foot elevated split squat, which is what I've got set up here, I now lean this as much towards my glutes as possible, and then my quads are going to be a contributor as well. So, you know, I want to bias it towards one muscle group, so when I count it in my logbook and stuff, I know I'm taking that muscle towards fatigue, and then the other muscle is a assistance muscle or a synergist muscle or whatever you want to call it. So, all right, now the specifics surrounding a rear foot elevated split squat, I'm using dumbbells, but you can often use barbell, Smith machine, you know, whatever variation you prefer. I have a preference for the dumbbells because of the position I can put myself in, put the dumbbells, customize it to me. When I have done the Smith machine at decent intensity, I also feel my back a little bit. So this one is a preference for me. Now the setup I use is I put this, we have one of these little roller, I think they call this. Anyway, this is what I'm going to elevate my foot on. That's what it's specifically for. I put the dumbbells on the bench to kind of not have to pick them up each time. It's just a little thing that I do. I've got straps to avoid any grip issues, so I'll strap in first, elevate the foot, dumbbell out, control the way down, drive up. So technique on this is such that I essentially want to get my hip to full extension and maybe not my knee as fully, my hip to full flexion, so we stretch out the glute, and maybe not the knee as much to avoid it being more quaddy. So you'll see I lean forward, dumbbells are forward over the front leg as well. So we're trying to make this as glutey as possible. So my chest will essentially reach my knee, and the dumbbells I kind of leave out in front to kind of put them away from the hip joint to make it more about the glute. All right, that's about all I have to say there. These are pretty tough, pretty brutal. So let's go to first set, let's get them done. Leg press next up. So order of events have gone like this: stiff-legged deadlifts, hamstrings, glutes. Was that one? Rear foot elevated split squats, glutes, quads. Now this one we're trying to make as quaddy as possible, and glutes will be incorporated as well. So in order to make this as quaddy as possible, I do a couple of things. Firstly, I have my weightlifting shoes, which have an elevation of the heel. Now, elevation of the heel allows you to kind of get around poor ankle mobility and allow your knee to go further this way and allow usually a little bit more range. I also set my feet pretty low on the platform with toes slightly out. Set them as low as you can. That allows you to keep your heel on there and push through the whole foot. Higher, if you wanted to do higher, there'll be nothing wrong with that. It just might buy some movement a little bit more towards the glutes because you get a lot more hip flexion, or you get less knee flexion. You'll still get plenty hip flexion on both variations, but this one we want to make really quaddy. So low feet for me, toes out slightly, but you can kind of figure it out for you. Oh, the other thing is I've got these yoga blocks. So without these yoga blocks here, this particular leg press limits a little bit of range. So to be completely honest, that might not matter. It still gets really good range, but again, I'm ticking all the boxes. I don't want to leave any stone unturned. So set the feet low-ish, toes out, push up, control the descent, feel the quads take that tension on the descent, and then also feel the quads work on the way up. Now you can see this is a pretty, people look at my version of leg press and they go, that's a pretty extreme range of motion, but for me, I find this to work best. It requires less weight, it feels like it fucks my quads up plenty, so I do it this way, and I've done it this way for a pretty long duration of time. So happy with that. Could you do a shorter range? Yeah, there's even some direct study surrounding range of motion on the leg press or knee flexion on the leg press, and they found that they came up equally in growth. So potentially this is a non-issue, but again, just theoretically, there is a body of evidence that is leading towards training muscles at long muscle length, and the quad, to be lengthened out completely, we want to flex the knee plenty, right? All right, let's build up to a weight and let's go for it. All right, thank God that leg press is over. We go lying hamstring curl now. Nothing in my life can get any worse than that leg press just felt. So not too much to be said about the lying hamstring curl. Pretty much every gym has one, so that's a good thing. Essentially, you want to set it up such that the pad down here is on the back of your ankle, high enough that you can pull with it, but not so high that it's up towards your knee, and essentially you don't have as good leverage, right? I like to think about bringing my heel towards my butt, so we're trying to isolate our hamstring, which runs through this area here. So I bring my heels towards my butt, control the way down, gentle tap, heel towards the butt. What I also do on the lying hamstring curl is when I'm finished and I can't get it all the way to my butt anymore, I'll finish with some half reps because I feel I've still got a little bit left in the tank. I just don't have the strength to get it to my butt. So it just helps me go that little bit closer to failure. All right, we do 3 sets here. It's all downhill. Let's go. All right, Smith machine calf raise. So we set up a platform here. This is like a Les Mills thing, enough height that when we go to the bottom, our heel won't touch the ground. So we get a nice big stretch through the calf. What I also do on the front of that is I put a weight plate so it doesn't tip back. We'll set the bar on the shoulders, half the foot on, at least the ball of your big toe on there. Raise up, handle out of the way, heels down, stretch, raise up onto the toes. Stretch, raise up. So importantly here, we don't have anything that we can run into like the ground or anything in the way. We get that big stretch and then we raise up as high as we can. On this one as well, as I finish the set, because you're not as strong in the top position as you are through the bottom, I'll finish off with some half reps to really burn those calves up. And then abs, and then we can fuck off finally.
I'm going to get you to push it for 10. You only get to 8 on the right. I really want to try and 10 is your max. More like a big bloody kill. Right, it's just a longer now that That's what we do it. How'd that feel? Yeah, it's still starting to hurt up. Yeah. But mind you, I was also pushing up through my hands as well. So if you're good in that, you're going to be
That's a wrap on the workout, guys. Woofed. That will test your enthusiasm for life, that one. That was tough. Deadlifts, split squats. At the end of those split squats, starting to question everything I hold dear in this world. The getting that leg press, it's been like, oh, I just have to get that juice again to get fired up for that. Tough. Really, really tough. But happy to get through it. All I missed there is some ab work, which I'm going to do this afternoon because I've got to go get my daughter. So not very good with my time management there, but I have the option to do it later. So I'm going to do 4 sets of a sit-up variation, which I can find a video of and put it up in a card up here. So if you want to see that, it's pretty good. Or I'll do it next week as well, I suppose. So I do that weighted. 4 sets of that. Normally do that in tow with 4 sets of calf raises, but just a bit shy on time. So, oh, what a week, guys. So yeah, like that one was tough. That tested my newfound enthusiasm for training this week, but we got through it. There's some little improvements there. Rep up on my stiff-legged deadlift. A couple of reps up on the split squat. You know, just little bits of improvement that keeps you enthusiastic, keeps you driving forward. So very happy. What a week. Could all weeks be like this? Probably not. But you know, coming off of last week where it was brutal, where it was tough, and then you get to this week and you appreciate how good it is to feel good again. You just got to fight through those low times sometimes to kind of come out the back end and realize how good it is to kind of get in here and feel good about yourself and train hard and get that energy out. Sensational. All right. As always, guys, if you like the content, please subscribe. That's really helpful for the channel. You can share it around to people who you think would find it valuable as well. If you want to see how I'm training some of my other muscle groups, you can hit the playlist up here. Shows you how I train all the other muscle groups in this playlist. And remember, as always, it's about progress over perfection. Coach Dan, signing off.